idea of a good competitive golf team is to have people pushing each other all the time. You know, it's a weird dynamic. You got to support each other and your teammates, but you got to compete against each other every day. So it takes some mature people, some guys that understand the concept of team golf, and you know, the rest of the team's job is to push Brian and to get him out of the #1 spot, and then he needs to fight back into it.
Thomas Dietrich and Charlie Danielson had good ends to the year. Have you kind of seen that momentum going forward with them?
Yeah, you know, they both had good summers. You know, coming back this fall, they both are working on some things and trying to get better. You know, I didn't see much of them this summer because they're out doing their thing, and you know, NCAA rules are pretty sticky on some things. So I just can get re-familiar with those guys' games the last couple weeks, and but they're good players. And but you know, the sophomore season is a tricky season too. They have to be sure not to compare their value and try to pick up right now where they left off last spring, because that's pretty unrealistic. You know, they played so well last spring to get to the national finals, and you know, Charlie earned All-American, and Thomas Dietrich was Big Ten Freshman of the Year. So they have to keep their expectations in check, and they have to, you know, understand that every day is a new day and every season is a new season. So they start from here all over again.
As a coach, do you forget last spring and move forward, or do you kind of remind them of how good they can be?
Well, that's a good question. I'm trying to figure it out myself. You know, you want to use it to your advantage when you can, and you want to move on past it when you have to, and that's what we're trying to figure out. But you know, we were a young team last year. The big difference is Thomas Peters is gone. You know, he turned professional, and so now you don't have that lead dog in there kind of taking people with them. So we had talked about that already, where these guys have to figure out who's going to be that lead dog now, and who's going to jumpstart the team themselves instead of waiting on somebody else to do it.
You've got a young team, but it's kind of an experienced team based on like NCAA championships and Big Ten championships. I mean, who do you see as like the leaders right now?
Well, we're trying to identify the leaders, and you know, I would project leaders to be the guys that, you know, played last year. And this program's never had a captain. I don't believe in a team captain. I think you should have every player in the team have captain qualities and leadership qualities and ownership qualities. So that's kind of an evolving piece to our program every year, so that you know, we can mature and keep growing all the way into March and April and May. You know, it doesn't do us a lot of good to peak in September. Although we want to win tournaments, we want to win as much as we can this fall, but we want to be building to where next spring we're better players than we are now.
And who are the 5 guys that are playing on the team this
You got Brian Campbell, you got Thomas Dietrich, you got David Kim, Jonathan Howder, and Charlie Danielson.
Okay, and Howder, he's the senior, but he hasn't really competed for a while. I mean, do you look to him for leadership still?
Yeah, he has to earn that spot, though. He's just not just because the oldest does he assume leadership, and that's what's important. And you know, Jonathan's played in the past. He's a 5th-year senior, and he wants to leave on a good note. And he did a good job competing this fall for us so far. So, in qualifying, so he needs to keep it going. And yeah, we can use all the help we can get, and it's his turn to step up.